Hello, Broncos fans! We have some great news coming for Sean Payton's team. The Denver Broncos just made some incredible moves, and fans are rejoicing. Not only did the team navigate free agency with precision, but they also managed to get serious value while other franchises struggle with salary cap nightmares. This is one of those rare moments when you realize this front office really knows what they're doing. But there's controversy brewing as well. I'll give you all the details, but before I go any further, make sure you've hit that like button, but only do so if you agree that Bo Nix is going to be the best quarterback next season. Man, I seriously believe it. This kid is here to shine, and he's going to help us get to the Super Bowl. If possible, write it like this: Go Knicks! Go Broncos! Let's go to the Super Bowl. Now, let's talk about the future of the team. The question many are asking is this: was the Broncos' new safety signing a risky move? Did the team really go all in on Evan Engram, or was someone else their first choice? And what does all of this mean for next season? Let's break it down. First, let's talk about Patrick Surtain too. The guy is a certified blocking corner, and yet the Broncos are paying him significantly less than Houston just gave Derek Stingley Jr. Stingley got a massive $90 million deal, resetting the cornerback market, while Surtain remains on a much more team-friendly contract. This is an absolute steal for the Broncos. When you look at the numbers, Surtain is widely considered the best cornerback in the NFL, acknowledged by AP voters, film analysts, and anyone who watches the game. Yet he's making $6 million less per year than Stingley. This is an example of what happens when you extend guys early and manage the cap well. Denver's front office deserves a lot of credit for signing him at the right time. Meanwhile, Kansas City Chiefs fans are in absolute panic mode because they're next in line to pay big for a cornerback. Trent McDuffie is up for a contract, and the Chiefs are not in a financial position to hand out another mega deal. The frustration is showing. Some Chiefs fans have already started calling out their front office for failing to extend McDuffie earlier. And you have to love seeing that as a Broncos fan, Kansas City scrambling while Denver is sitting pretty with its cap situation. Now, let's shift to a more controversial topic. The signing of safety Talanoa Hufanga has raised some eyebrows. Some analysts, including Sports Illustrated, are questioning whether this was a good move given his injury history. They're labeling him as injury-prone and questioning his long-term durability. But here's where they're missing the mark. His past injuries aren't related. He had a concussion, a knee issue, and a wrist injury. That's very different from someone who repeatedly has the same injury, like Greg Dulcich, who struggled to fully recover from his lower body issues. And let's not forget, Denver's medical staff under Bo Lowry has completely changed the way this team handles injuries. The Broncos were one of the healthiest teams in the league last season, thanks to their improved approach to recovery and preparation. So if the medical team gave Hufanga the green light, that should give fans confidence. But even if Hufanga does miss time, the Broncos have a solid backup plan in P.J. Locke, who stepped up last year and proved he can hold his own as a starter. But here's where the Hufanga signing really pays off. It helped land linebacker Dre Greenlaw. Greenlaw had a nearly identical contract offer from the 49ers, but chose Denver instead, largely because of his friendship with Hufanga. That's the kind of move that pays double dividends. Even if Hufanga gets hurt, Denver still wins by landing one of the best linebackers in free agency. That's what smart teams do. Speaking of smart moves, there's been some drama surrounding Denver's pursuit of a tight end. New Orleans Saints' Juwan Johnson recently revealed that the Broncos and Seahawks were both aggressively trying to sign him. This had some fans wondering, was Johnson actually Denver's first choice over Evan Engram? The answer? Probably not. Sean Payton and GM George Paton are masters at making free agents feel like the top priority. They're going to roll out the red carpet for every player they're talking to. But the timeline tells the real story. Engram was in Denver the night before free agency officially started. He went out to dinner with the team, spent time in the building, and then shortly after that, Johnson's name started coming up. That suggests Johnson was more of a backup option in case Engram didn't sign. And honestly, there's no comparison between the two. Engram is a proven playmaker. He once had 114 catches in a single season, which is more than the Broncos tight ends have combined for in the last 2 years. He brings serious athleticism to the position, and Denver has needed that for a long time. And then there's the Bengals. Denver has to face Cincinnati this season, and that matchup just got a lot more interesting. The Bengals are pouring an absurd amount of money into their offense, handing out massive deals to Joe Burrow, Ja'Marr Chase, and T. Higgins. In fact, those three players alone are taking up 45% of the team's salary cap. That's not sustainable. Injuries happen, and if one of those guys goes down, suddenly Cincinnati is in big trouble. Meanwhile, Denver is investing heavily in its defense, which was already the team's strength. That's a matchup that could heavily favor the Broncos when they meet later in the season. Finally, let's talk about Bo Nix. The rookie quarterback was recently spotted courtside at a Denver Nuggets game and then at an Avalanche game, and fans are loving it. But what's different about this compared to when Russell Wilson and Nathaniel Hackett did the same thing? Bo Nix isn't doing a victory lap before proving anything. He's putting in the work, earning the starting job, and then embracing the city. That's the right way to do it. Broncos fans can appreciate that. There's a lot to be excited about in Denver. A top-tier cornerback at a discount, strategic free agency moves, and a quarterback who is winning over the fan base the right way. But what do you think? Was Hufanga worth the gamble? Did the Broncos handle free agency perfectly, or is there something they missed? Let me know your thoughts. And here's where things get even more interesting, because while the Broncos have been making all the right moves this offseason, the rest of the AFC is showing cracks. Think about this. Denver's defense was already the backbone of this team, and now they've added key pieces like Dre Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga, while still keeping cap flexibility. Meanwhile, other teams in the conference are loading up on offense, hoping to outscore their problems. But that rarely works when it matters most. Take the Kansas City Chiefs, for example. They're coming off another Super Bowl win, but they're staring down a massive contract decision with Trent McDuffie. If they pay him, they'll be in an even worse financial spot than they already are. If they don't, their secondary takes a huge hit. And if you watched last season, you know that Patrick Mahomes didn't carry that team. It was their defense that bailed them out time and time again. So if that defense weakens, suddenly Kansas City isn't as invincible as people think. Then there's the Cincinnati Bengals. Sure, having Burrow, Chase, and Higgins sounds great on paper, but they're sinking nearly half their cap into just 3 players. And here's the reality. Teams that spend all their money on offense usually don't win championships. You need balance. You need a defense that can get stops when it matters most. And right now, the Bengals don't have that. They're betting on winning shootouts, but we've seen time and time again that the teams with the best defenses are the ones still standing in February. Meanwhile, Denver is building something different. This isn't about just putting up points. This is about controlling the game. And the key to that? The pass rush. That's where things get really exciting for the Broncos, because with the money they saved on Surtain's contract, they now have options. Nick Bonitto is in line for an extension soon, and if Denver plays this right, they can lock him up at the right time, just like they did with Surtain. They also have Zach Allen, another player who could be a cornerstone of this defense for years to come. And let's not forget about Courtland Sutton. The wide receiver market is exploding, but the Broncos were smart enough to extend him early, just like they did with Surtain. Now, while other teams are panicking about how much they'll have to pay their stars, Denver is sitting back with team-friendly deals that give them flexibility. This is how you build a winning roster. But here's the part that really gets me fired up, the culture shift. We've seen teams make splashy free agency moves before, only to collapse when it really counts. So now, Broncos country, I want to hear from you. How are you feeling about this offseason? Do you think the front office played it perfectly? Or is there a move you wish they had made? And what do you expect from Bo Nix in his rookie year? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This is going to be a fun season. Let's ride!